It is a really tough time to build a gaming PC right now. With tariffs looming over the industry, as well as a certain level of economic uncertainty, it makes a lot of sense why some people can't justify dropping a G on a toy. And while that uncertainty might be there for a while, the only thing I am certain of is that a gaming PC is possible for only $200. Are you going to be able to get max settings at 4K? No. Is it going to be pretty? Hell no. But most importantly, will it play most games in 1080p at respectable frame rates? Absolutely. $200, now more than ever, is a really tough budget for a gaming PC. Not only because our wallets are all empty after dropping fat stacks on CS2 knives, it's an investment, but mostly because there really is a minimum price requirement for computers, and especially ones designed for gaming. Now the base of this PC is going to be a true 2020 pandemic classic, buying an old, used office PC and turning it into a gaming PC. But this usually comes with a lot of caveats. They often have a ton of proprietary components, low wattage power supplies, and size constraints for things like full-size graphics cards. But there are some office PCs out there that are ready to become a gaming PC right out of the box. I'm going to be using a PC that I've actually never worked with before. It's the HP Z440. This is a workstation PC that was released near the end of 2014, so it's pretty old at this point, but it's still new enough to have some nice creature comforts that make it a really good candidate for a gaming PC. On the outside, we have your typical boring black office PC look, some room for 5.25-inch bay expansions, a lot of I/O for sure, but famously missing USB-C or an SD card reader. Let's open it up and see what we're working with inside. Alright, there's a lot to unpack here. First, there's like this armor that covers the RAM and CPU cooling that I thought was originally just here to make sure people don't touch it, but it actually plugs directly into the motherboard to power these two small fans, which I guess are blowing directly onto the DIMM modules. This is a clever design if you're maxing out your machine with 8 sticks of RAM and getting up to the maximum 1/4 TB of memory. But I think leaving it off wouldn't be the end of the world, especially for our use case. We've certainly got a lot of PCIe slots down here. This is a workstation PC after all, and was designed for easy expansion. Which makes a lot of sense because this PC is starting to make me expand. The CPU that my Z440 came with is an Intel Xeon E5 1630V3. It's a 4-core 8-thread processor that can boost to 3.8 GHz, so a pretty lower-end chip by today's standards, but should be enough to be a competent gaming machine at 1080p. Now this processor does have a TDP of 140 watts, which compared to a newer desktop CPU is 2.5 times more, and the entire PC is not power efficient by modern standards. So if you live in a place with high electricity costs like Germany or the UK, this PC might not be worth it for you in the long run. But on the bright side, this CPU does have hyperthreading, which is awesome, and supports DDR4 memory, so it's not as ancient as we might think, but more on that later. Now this rig is big enough to be able to handle most graphics cards in the top 16X slot comfortably, so that's good. But we need PCIe power cables and a power supply that is sufficient enough to handle a high wattage GPU. And luckily, we have both. This power supply can support up to 525 watts of power, which is more than enough for most mid-range to entry-level graphics cards, especially the type we'd be using in this kind of computer. And it comes included with two 6-pin PCIe cables. I'm not sure why these aren't 6 plus 2-pin. It's possible that this was more of the standard back when this PC was made. But as most of you probably know, most modern graphics cards do usually use at least a single 8-pin connector. But luckily we have this, a simple 6-pin to 8-pin adapter. Now all this is doing is changing the form factor from 6 to 8. It's not going to accept any more power than a 6-pin would give out. As you can see on the cable, those 2 extra pins are just ground, so it's purely an adapter. This would work fine, but there's a possibility it can hold back your graphics card, so I would recommend this. It's a 2 6-pin to 1 8-pin adapter, and looking at the pinout, it looks to be more accurate. So this should hopefully provide the full 150 watts of power that an 8-pin is supposed to deliver. But we are working with some jank here, so I'm just crossing my fingers for the best results and learning by fire. Maybe literally. So overall, this is a nice little PC that would work fantastic for a workstation, home server, or just general use. And they are readily available in tons of configurations over on the eBay. I was able to find one that didn't come with RAM or storage and made an offer for $92 and the seller accepted, and that included free shipping. So be sure to look in your local marketplace for one of these first, because I'm sure you could get one for half that price since they won't be paying for shipping or eBay fees. Either way, $92 is a really good price for what we're getting here, and it will be a perfect start to this gaming PC. Now the Z440 I got didn't come with memory, so I had to pick some up, but luckily server memory is usually much cheaper. I was able to get two 8 gig sticks, totaling out to 16 gigs of DDR4 ECC Reg RAM for only $11 on eBay. Heck of a bargain there. But they are pretty slow compared to modern DDR4 gaming standards. But this CPU can't handle faster speeds anyway, so it's not a big deal. Oh, and I forgot to mention that on the side of the panel, there's a lot of information about the machine, like which RAM slots to populate first, PCIe slot sizes. Very cool. I love seeing this readily available so I don't have to go look it up myself. So if you only have 2 RAM sticks, you can populate the far ends first and be good to go. Now, you'll probably see some nerd in the comments say, actually, that is a quad channel machine. You need 4 RAM sticks to get the full power. And they aren't wrong. We might see a small boost in performance if we used 4 sticks instead of 2, but this is a $200 PC, guys. Don't throw more money into it than you have to, especially for negligible performance boosts. I'm going to talk more about it in the conclusion, but for now, 2 sticks is good to go. The PC also didn't come with storage, so we're going to need an SSD of some kind. And unfortunately, this motherboard does not have any NVMe M.2 slots on it. So if you want, you can go out and buy a 2.5-inch SATA SSD and it'd work great, no problem. But then you're stuck with a SATA drive. If you use this PC for like a year and then you buy a new one, you're probably going to migrate your storage over to the new machine from this one. Wouldn't you want it to be a super fast NVMe drive? I would. So I went ahead and bought half a terabyte of NVMe PCIe 3 storage. And then I just bought this PCIe to NVMe M.2 adapter on AliExpress for like $2 or $3. Your new SSD goes in here, and then your whole card goes into the third slot. No drivers, no janky workarounds. It will automatically detect this as an NVMe drive and provide almost the full speeds as if it was supported on the motherboard natively. This upgrade only costs a few bucks for the adapter, but it allows you to basically 7x or more your SSD speeds from SATA and have a drive that will more easily go into your next computer. It is a total win-win. The SSD I am using today cost me about $26, but you can always buy as much or as little storage as you need. And remember, it's going to go to your next build, so consider it an investment. And the only thing we're missing is a graphics card, so we need something that isn't too power hungry, has good 1080p performance, and fits within our budget. Usually the go-to recommendation is always an RX 588 gig from AMD, as it can easily be found for around $50 used and has some good performance for the price. But it's losing support soon and is kind of on its way out, unfortunately. So I decided to go with this GTX 1070 Ti from Nvidia. This card was originally released at the end of 2017, so it's nearly 8 years old at this point, but it still hangs with the big boys in terms of entry-level 1080p performance. And it has 8 gigs of video memory, which is still somehow the standard in mid-range GPUs in 2025, so I guess some things never change. It's hard to compare the performance of this card to a more modern card due to changes in things like power efficiency and new software available on modern cards like DLSS, but in terms of just pure raw performance, I think we are going to be pleasantly surprised. Now that's it. There's not going to be a build montage because the build is done. You just toss in the RAM, the graphics card, and the storage, and you're good to go. You will have to install Windows 11 on it yourself and update your GPU drivers, but in terms of a functioning gaming PC, we're ready to go. So let me install some games, run some benchmarks, and then back here for my final thoughts.
In 1080p, we got some very strong performance, even in AAA games. We were held back a little bit in CPU-bound games, mostly on our 1% lows. But I think with some tweaking, most of these games would be considered playable. In almost all of the benchmarks, our CPU is in the 90 to 100% usage area, so it's clear that we are literally pushing this PC to its absolute limit.
But after everything is said and done, did we prove you can still build a $200 gaming PC in 2025? Yes, we did. But should you? Well, that really depends.
I'm not going to sit here and preach that everyone should go out and build a PC like this. It's not power efficient, it's not pretty, it lacks a lot of modern features like USB-C ports, NVMe slots, and built-in Wi-Fi. Its base computer is 10 years old in a world where most gamers upgrade their hardware every 5 years. Will these components break tomorrow? Probably not. But they are aging, and already are starting to show that age. As more and more games come out, you're going to see these components become less and less relevant. More games are going to start requiring mesh shaders, ray tracing, and especially TPM 2.0. So if you are going to build something like this, go into it expecting to replace it. This PC is not going to last you 10 more years. It might not even last you 2 depending on the nature of the industry.
But if you're in a situation where you literally cannot afford anything else, or you're saving up for a better PC but you need one right now for work or school, or you're someone who just likes tinkering and you're not afraid of this thing being jank, or you're new to PC building and you just want to build something cheap that works to see if you even like this kind of thing, well then I think this PC might be great for you in the meantime and allow you to play games while you make a game plan for the future. And at the very least, isn't it just fun to watch what is possible at the very low end of PC gaming?
My name's Jason. Thanks for watching.